Nike finally decides to get into the Caitlin Clark business.
Ladies and gentlemen, after months of rumors, speculation, and fans begging Nike to finally give Caitlin Clark the respect she deserves, the athletic giant just dropped the most anticipated logo reveal in women's sports history. The internet absolutely exploded when Nike unveiled Caitlin Clark's signature CC logo, along with a cinematic commercial that had more production value than most Hollywood movies. And let me tell you, the reaction has been nothing short of spectacular. But while Clark fans were celebrating what could be the most significant moment in women's basketball endorsement history, someone else was having a complete meltdown about being overshadowed once again.
Feels good. Got the pants, got the charms, necklace, zipper, everything.
It's special. I mean, you know, there's very few people who get the opportunity to say that they have a logo and to make the impact that she makes, not just I think in the sport, but globally, just by being who she is. She's a connector. She brings people together. And, you know, I think for us to be a part of that, and whether it's, you know, as simple as being able to celebrate all of these things with her, or, you know, as much as walking out into the arena and seeing the whiteout on the chairs out there, it's really cool. And it's really special and shoot, I'm talking about it right now, and just feeling the intense gratitude for me personally, being in women's basketball, to be able to be a part of this moment and to celebrate with her.
That's right, Angel Reese is out here making headlines for all the wrong reasons. And her latest display of pettiness during Candace Parker's jersey retirement ceremony on August 30th might be the most embarrassing thing we've seen from a professional athlete all season. Smash that like button and drop Night Queen in the comments, because what I'm about to break down will show you exactly why Caitlin Clark is operating on a completely different level than everyone else in this league. The Nike logo reveal itself was everything that Caitlin Clark fans have been waiting for since she entered the WNBA back on April 14th, 2024. And frankly, it's about time the swoosh recognized what everyone else already knew. The design features two interlocking C's that represent both her initials and her complete style of play, with Nike explaining that the inner C represents her inside game, while the outer C represents her outside game.
Stay patient. I've been telling y'all that Nike takes their time, that Asia Wilson's shoe deal was 2 years in the making, that Paige Beckers had PEs, not her own signature shoe, and that Caitlin Clark's was 100% coming. And people kept saying, oh, Nike fumbled the bag with Caitlin. It has to get out there. Nike fumbled the bag. No, they didn't. It takes time. She's got to develop a whole freaking product line. But they just announced, breaking news right now, we have a logo. That is the official Caitlin Clark Nike logo. And it's not just that. I mean, this is cool. Nike has just announced that a signature product line will be dropping soon, with signature shoes coming in 2026. Now, this is going to be her logo for all of her Nike stuff that is Caitlin Clark.
Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw the logo on September 25, my initial reaction was pretty lukewarm. It looked like two simple circles overlapping, which seemed almost too basic for someone of Clark's caliber and marketing potential. But here's the thing about great branding that a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes the most effective logos are the ones that grow on you over time rather than hitting you over the head with flashy complexity. The more you look at Clark's CC logo, the more it makes sense from a merchandising and marketing perspective. This is something Nike can slap on t-shirts, hoodies, basketball shoes, and literally any piece of apparel without it looking cluttered or overwhelming. It's clean, it's recognizable, and most importantly, is distinctly hers in a way that will be instantly identifiable for decades to come. The accompanying Nike commercial was an absolute masterpiece of marketing genius that dropped so many Easter eggs that Clark fans are still discovering new details.
Live on WNIK, and as usual, we're talking about Caitlin Clark.
All right, subtle commercial, nothing too crazy, no big bang. But here we go, folks. If we look at this right here, this is the Easter egg I'm talking about. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 billboards. 8 billboards. October, December, November, January, February, March, April, May. The start of the WNBA season. Is that when these shoes are gonna drop? Is that when these shoes are going to drop in May? We know that come October, we're going to get some merchandise. We're going to get some apparel. But the shoes, they said, coming soon in 2026. How soon? May 2026 soon?
The most significant clue came from the sequence showing 8 different months flashing across the screen: October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and May, which appears to be building toward a May 2026 launch date for her signature shoe line. Think about that for a second. We're potentially looking at Caitlin Clark walking into her 3rd WNBA season with her own signature Nike shoe, something that took other legends years or even decades to achieve. The merchandise rollout has been strategically planned with military precision, starting with apparel hitting stores on October 1st, 2025, followed by the signature shoe launch in May 2026. This isn't just some rush cash grab or quick licensing deal. This is Nike building a legitimate brand empire around Caitlin Clark that could rival some of their biggest basketball endorsements in history. The fact that they're taking this much time and investing this level of resources shows they view Clark as a long-term investment rather than a temporary marketing trend. But while Nike was busy cementing Caitlin Clark's status as the undisputed queen of women's basketball endorsements, Angel Reese was out here providing a masterclass in how to completely embarrass yourself on one of the most important nights in Chicago Sky history.
And if you see here, a lot of the players decided to show support, show some love. But remember, Candace Parker rated Angel Reese as a C-tier player. And the Reese's Pieces got in Angel Reese's head that Candace Parker was hating, so now Angel Reese needs to throw shade towards Candace Parker's way. Angel Reese, somebody who called Candace Parker a cloud chaser. Imagine that, Angel Reese in another one-sided beef. Angel Reese calling somebody else a cloud chaser. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You can't make this stuff up.
August 30th, 2025 was supposed to be a celebration of Candace Parker, a genuine legend who brought a championship to Chicago and deserved nothing but respect and admiration from everyone in the building. Instead, Angel Reese decided to make it all about her fragile ego and petty grudges. The sight of every single Chicago Sky player wearing tribute t-shirts with Candace Parker's face, her number 3, and her championship trophy should have been a beautiful moment of unity and respect. Camila Cardoso wore it, Hailey Van Lith wore it, even the mascot was showing love to one of the greatest players in WNBA history. But Angel Reese? She zipped her jacket up so tight it looked like she could barely breathe, making absolutely sure that nobody could see even a glimpse of Candace Parker's face on that tribute shirt. This level of pettiness stems from Candace Parker having the audacity to rate Angel Reese as a C-tier player during a segment earlier in the 2025 season, and apparently that completely broke Angel's brain to the point where she couldn't even show basic professional respect to a legend on her jersey retirement night.
But Angel Reese, oh, she said, hell no. She said, I am keeping this, I am keeping this warm-up jacket. Folks, I gotta, see that? I still had a little bit to go. See? Angel Reese, she's got no more room. That thing is zipped up so tight she could barely breathe. But guess what? She's definitely not gonna be giving Candace Parker any grace. She's not gonna be giving Candace Parker any clout, giving Candace Parker the respect. When we look at the intros, everybody's wearing their shirts, except for one, Angel Reese. You see, this is what I'm talking about. Angel Reese says, nah, I'm not gonna be called dead wearing that shirt.
Instead of using that moment as motivation to go out and drop 25 points to prove Candace wrong, Angel spent the entire game in her feelings and shot a pathetic 3 for 10 from the field while missing easy looks under the basket. The contrast between how these two stars handle adversity and criticism couldn't be more stark if you tried to design it in a laboratory. When Nike initially lowballed Caitlin Clark during her college career and early WNBA days, did she spend months crying about it on social media or making petty gestures? No, she went out and proved her worth through her play until Nike had no choice but to offer her one of the biggest endorsement deals in women's basketball history. When Angel Reese gets criticized by a legend, she responds by zipping up jackets and playing terrible basketball while making sure everyone knows she's upset. The timing of these events couldn't be more perfect for highlighting the massive gap between Caitlin Clark's professional maturity and Angel Reese's continued immaturity. On September 25, Clark is celebrating a historic Nike partnership that represents the culmination of years of hard work and excellence.
Caitlin Clark just gifted her entire team her signature merch, but it wasn't just the team. Every fan that shows up to Gamebridge tonight will get the first release of Caitlin Clark's signature merchandise. About the Indiana Fever not showing love to Caitlin Clark, because to me, it took too long. Well, guess what, guys? Now we all know.
Meanwhile, Angel is still dealing with the fallout from her August 30th tantrum that showed the entire basketball world exactly what kind of teammate and competitor she really is when things don't go her way. Let's talk about the logo comparison game that immediately started trending on social media after Nike's September 25th announcement, because it perfectly illustrates the hierarchy in women's basketball endorsements right now. Sabrina Ionescu's logo sits at the top of the tier list, with a clean, sharp design that's instantly recognizable and professionally executed. Angel Reese's Reebok logo comes in at a solid second place. You can clearly see it's an A, and while it's not groundbreaking, it gets the job done from a branding perspective. But then you get to some of the other attempts at signature logos in women's basketball, and boy, it gets rough in a hurry. Breanna Stewart's logo looks like something a middle school art student might doodle in their notebook, while Aja Wilson's design resembles a bottle opener that you'd get free with a soda purchase.
Clark is simply the talk of the internet today. Her and Taylor Swift broke the damn internet. Yes, bro. And for all the people that was hitting me up about Caitlin Clark's signature logo, somebody said it looked like Chanel. I said it looked like Gucci. But whatever it is a luxury sports brand. I can't think of very many luxury sports brands. Guys, yeah, do you, like, I'm a fashion guy. And I understand what Nike is doing. Nike is trying to get into the luxury brand style.
The fact that Caitlin Clark's relatively simple CC design immediately slots into the top tier of women's basketball logos shows just how low the bar has been set by previous attempts. What makes Clark's Nike partnership even more significant is the context of how long it took to get here and how much resistance she faced along the way. Her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey, actually called out Nike on social media back in March 2024 for disrespecting Caitlin and not offering her appropriate endorsement opportunities despite her obvious marketability and talent. The fact that Nike eventually came around and offered her what appears to be a generational deal proves that persistence and performance eventually win out over corporate politics and initial skepticism. The fan reaction to the September 25 logo reveal has been overwhelmingly positive, with comments flooding social media about how this represents Caitlin finally getting the recognition she's deserved for years. People are calling it the start of a new era, praising the clean design and already planning to buy merchandise when it drops on October 1st.
Went all out for Caitlin Clark's logo drop. So there was a lot of excitement already fluttering about Gamebridge, and energy was high. They definitely spared no expense in letting everybody know that Caitlin Clark does have a new logo out. The arena was actually covered with t-shirts that said Caitlin Clark was here. The outside of the arena had her logo everywhere. She even showed up with all these accoutrements.
I can't have anything without some negativity. Sports Illustrated posted this, but I actually read the article. It's just hater. He used random people's opinions on X and Twitter. Fans don't like her logo. No, you don't like the logo. You just found some random people that agree with your opinion. This is called confirmation bias. I can't stand people like that. What they do is they find anybody who confirms their bias. So what they do Google searches and things like that instead of just being objective.
The excitement level is through the roof, and that's exactly what you want to see from a successful brand launch: organic enthusiasm from your target audience. But here's what's really telling about the current state of women's basketball politics. The WNBA's official social media accounts have been suspiciously quiet about one of the biggest endorsement announcements in league history. While the Indiana Fever were posting fire emojis and celebrating their superstar's achievement, the main WNBA page acted like nothing happened. That kind of silence is hard to ignore when we're talking about the league's biggest draw and most marketable player getting a historic Nike deal. The conspiracy theories about why the WNBA would downplay Caitlin Clark's success are probably overblown, but the optics are absolutely terrible when your league office appears to be less enthusiastic about your biggest star's achievements than random fans on Twitter. Whether it's bad PR management or something more deliberate, it sends a message that the league either doesn't understand marketing basics or has some other agenda that doesn't align with promoting their most valuable asset.
She brought in new fans, national media, and even primetime slots. Her absence isn't just hurting the Indiana Fever, it's apparently impacted the entire league's momentum. But this also sparks a deeper conversation. Is it fair for one rookie to carry the weight of an entire league's popularity? You see, critics say the WNBA's marketing has leaned heavily on Caitlin Clark, while longtime stars like A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and others deserve more spotlight too. On the flip side, others argue Caitlin Clark is the draw, and the ratings prove it.
Looking at the bigger picture, this Nike partnership represents a watershed moment for women's basketball endorsements that could have ripple effects throughout the entire sports marketing landscape. When major brands like Nike are willing to invest this level of resources into women's basketball players, it signals to other companies that there's real money to be made in women's sports endorsements. This isn't charity or social responsibility marketing. This is Nike betting significant money that Caitlin Clark can move merchandise and build brand loyalty in ways that justify a massive investment. The May 2026 shoe launch timeline is particularly strategic because it coincides with what should be Clark's most dominant WNBA season yet, assuming she can stay healthy and continue developing her already incredible skill set. Imagine the marketing possibilities of launching a signature shoe line right as your endorser is having a career year and potentially leading her team to a championship. That's the kind of synergy that creates legendary endorsement moments and builds generational brand loyalty.
Incoming next generation young guns enter the league, it is becoming more and more apparent that the WNBA veterans did not do much to really advance the game of the WNBA. They didn't really develop the game as much as they like to think. You have these rookies coming in and doing in one season, and doing in less than a season and half a season what it's taken these vets of the past.
People are selling the new Caitlin Clark Kobe's for double, sometimes more than double what they actually paid for them. So it's been estimated there's about 13,000 of these shoes that were released from Nike, and literally within minutes, all sold out for about $190 a piece. People knew these were going to be hot, so resellers were picking them up on the cheap and now doubling and sometimes tripling their profits on a place like eBay. So if you were lucky enough to get a pair of these, put them up on eBay, you're going to sell them for around $350, $400 minimum, depending on the size. And that's just kind of the way it works right now with anything Caitlin Clark related. The stuff is really hot. Watch for Caitlin Clark stuff because it sells off the shelf.
The production value of the September 25 Nike commercial also deserves recognition because it treated Caitlin Clark like the superstar she is, rather than some niche women's sports figure who needs to be marketed differently. The cinematography, the music, the Easter egg details, everything about it screamed premium brand partnership rather than token diversity initiative. That level of investment and attention to detail suggests Nike sees Clark as someone who can compete for marketing dollars with their biggest male basketball endorsers. What's particularly satisfying about this whole situation is watching karma work its magic on people who doubted or disrespected Caitlin Clark along the way. All those critics who said she was overhyped, all those brands who initially lowballed her, all those players who tried to diminish her impact, they all have to watch her sign historic deals and build a brand empire while they're stuck fighting for scraps. The August 30th Angel Reese jacket incident is just the latest example of someone being consumed by jealousy while Clark keeps winning.
An Angel Reese shoe before a Caitlin Clark shoe. It's almost like Nike forgot about Caitlin Clark and just moved on to Juju because they announced stuff about her signature shoe coming out in March with details of colorway, style, price, the whole 9 yards. And all they've done with Caitlin Clark is give her a colorway in the Kobe shoes and just calling them like the Caitlin Clark Kobe's. But even just that, they sold out in less than a minute. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm happy for Angel Reese. She got her signature shoe and was featured on the 2K26 cover with the signature shoe.
Seek that attention, right? And another thing is, It's obvious she's jealous of Caitlyn. Every interview, every tweet, everything is about Caitlyn. I haven't yet to see Caitlyn even respond to her yet. Have y'all?
No.
So when you asking me like, yo, I get it, everybody's watching women's basketball now, who's the real reason? Well, yes, you are right. Reese has a small amount of that, right? But the other real credit goes to Caitlyn, not just because what she's doing outside the court and she's waving her hand, doing all that. It's because she's giving buckets in basketball, right? And she looks like Steph Curry. And that's simple.
The problem with Angel Reese is that when we talk about an attitude can make somebody unattractive, her attitude and just her demeanor really rubs me the wrong way. I'm not on the court, so maybe Caitlin Clark has said something crazy to Angel Reese. I have not heard it. Angel Reese, whenever she has the opportunity to throw a shot, she does, and she makes herself look like an ass. They're watching the WNBA because of one person. It's okay. A talented player, maybe you and Caitlin Clark will share the lead down the line.
The timing couldn't be better for women's basketball as a whole because having a legitimate superstar with major brand backing helps elevate the entire sport. When casual fans see Caitlin Clark Nike commercials during NBA games or notice her merchandise in major retail stores, it normalizes women's basketball in a way that benefits everyone in the league. Even players who might not like Clark personally should appreciate how her success creates more opportunities and higher salaries for everyone. The contrast between Clark's professional approach to building her brand and Angel Reese's tendency toward petty drama couldn't be more obvious after the events of September 25 and August 30th. While one is signing historic endorsement deals and building a business empire, the other is making headlines for refusing to show basic respect to legends during their special moments. That's the difference between someone who understands the business side of professional sports and someone who's still stuck in high school mentality. Looking ahead to the October ONEST merchandise launch, it's going to be fascinating to see how the market responds to Caitlin Clark branded apparel. If the early social media reaction is any indication, Nike is going to have a massive hit on their hands that could break sales records for women's basketball merchandise. The combination of Clark's popularity, Nike's marketing power, and pent-up demand from fans who have been waiting years for quality, Clark merchandise creates perfect conditions for a historic launch. The May 2026 shoe release represents an even bigger moment because signature basketball shoes are the ultimate test of an athlete's marketing power and cultural impact. If Caitlin Clark can successfully launch a signature shoe line that resonates with both basketball players and casual consumers, she'll have accomplished something that very few women's basketball players have ever achieved. That's the kind of milestone that cements legacies and creates generational wealth. The business implications of this Nike partnership extend far beyond just Caitlin Clark's personal success because it signals a fundamental shift in how major athletic brands approach women's sports marketing. When Nike announced this deal on September 25, they weren't just investing in one player, they were making a statement about the commercial viability of women's basketball as a whole. This kind of commitment from the world's largest athletic brand creates a ripple effect that encourages other companies to take women's sports seriously as legitimate marketing opportunities rather than token diversity initiatives. The psychological impact on other WNBA players has to be significant because watching Clark secure a historic Nike deal while they're stuck with smaller regional sponsors or no endorsements at all creates a clear hierarchy that didn't exist before. Players like Angel Reese, who signed with Reebok earlier in 2025, are probably wondering what they could have done differently to attract this level of corporate investment. The answer, of course, is simple. Focus on basketball excellence rather than manufactured drama and social media controversies. What's particularly fascinating about the September 25th announcement is how it validates every decision Caitlin Clark made during her college career at Iowa from 2020 to 2024. While other players were transferring schools chasing immediate gratification or getting caught up in petty rivalries, Clark stayed focused on developing her game and building her brand the right way. Those 4 years of consistent excellence and professional behavior are now paying dividends in ways that her contemporaries can only dream about. The marketing genius of timing this announcement for September 25, 2025 also deserves recognition because it comes right at the peak of WNBA playoff excitement when basketball fans are most engaged with women's sports. Instead of burying the news during the offseason when nobody's paying attention, Nike strategically chose a moment when Clark's absence from the playoffs due to injury would generate maximum sympathy and anticipation for her return. It's the kind of calculated move that shows they understand how to build narratives and emotional connections with consumers. The international implications of this partnership could be enormous for women's basketball because Nike's global reach means Caitlin Clark merchandise will be available in markets where the WNBA has minimal presence. Young girls in Europe, Asia, and South America will see Clark's logo in stores and potentially develop interest in women's basketball that wouldn't have existed otherwise. That's the kind of organic growth that creates sustainable fan bases rather than temporary marketing bumps. The technology integration possibilities are also intriguing because Nike has been at the forefront of incorporating digital features into their signature shoes and apparel lines. When Clark's signature shoe launches in May 2026, it could include innovative features like performance tracking, social media connectivity, or even augmented reality elements that make the purchase experience more engaging. The combination of Clark's tech-savvy fan base and Nike's innovation capabilities creates perfect conditions for pushing boundaries in athletic footwear. The competitive response from other athletic brands is going to be fascinating to watch because Nike just raised the stakes for everyone trying to sign women's basketball players. Adidas, Under Armour, Puma, and other major brands are probably scrambling to identify the next Caitlin Clark before Nike locks up all the premium talent. This kind of competition ultimately benefits all women's basketball players because it drives up endorsement values across the board and creates more opportunities for athletes to monetize their brands. The social media strategy surrounding this announcement has been masterful because Nike has been drip-feeding content and Easter eggs that keep fans engaged and speculating about future reveals. The September 25 commercial wasn't just a one-time event. It's the beginning of a sustained marketing campaign that will build toward the October 1st merchandise launch and eventually the May 2026 shoe release. That kind of long-term content planning is exactly what separates professional brand management from amateur hour social media posting. The comparison to male basketball endorsements is inevitable. And while we're still not talking about Michael Jordan or LeBron James money, the trajectory is pointing in that direction. When Clark's signature shoe launches in May 2026, it will be interesting to see if it can generate the kind of cultural buzz that transcends basketball and becomes a mainstream fashion statement. The early signs are promising given her crossover appeal and Nike's marketing expertise. The educational aspect of this partnership also shouldn't be overlooked, because it provides a real-time case study for young athletes about the importance of building a personal brand alongside athletic performance. Clark's journey from being overlooked by major brands during her college career to signing a historic Nike deal on September 25 shows that persistence, professionalism, and consistent excellence eventually get rewarded. That's a valuable lesson for the next generation of athletes who are watching how this unfolds. The political implications within the WNBA are also worth examining because Clark's Nike deal gives her a level of independence and influence that most players simply don't have. When you're generating millions of dollars in revenue for a major brand, you have leverage in ways that players dependent on league salaries and small local endorsements simply can't match. This could fundamentally change power dynamics within the league and give Clark more influence over her career trajectory. The production quality standards that Nike established with the September 25 commercial are now going to be the benchmark that other brands have to match when signing women's basketball players. You can't just throw together some cheap graphics and call it a day anymore. Fans expect the same level of cinematic quality and attention to detail that they see in male athlete endorsement campaigns. This raises the bar for everyone and ultimately benefits women's sports as a whole. The merchandise strategy rollout starting October 1st is particularly smart because it allows Nike to test market demand before committing to the much more expensive shoe production process. If the apparel line performs well, it validates their investment and creates momentum leading up to the May 2026 shoe launch. If it underperforms, they can adjust their strategy accordingly without having wasted massive resources on footwear development. The cultural significance of having a women's basketball player with this level of brand recognition cannot be overstated because it normalizes female athletic excellence in ways that previous generations never experienced. Young girls growing up now will see Caitlin Clark Nike commercials during primetime television and think it's completely normal for women to have signature athletic brands. That kind of representation creates aspirational role models and expands possibilities for future generations. The timing of Angel Reese's August 30th jacket incident in relation to Clark's September 25 Nike announcement creates a perfect narrative contrast that highlights the difference between professional maturity and petty jealousy. While one player was building relationships with corporate partners and focusing on long-term brand development, the other was making headlines for refusing to show basic respect to legends during their special moments. Those choices have consequences, and we're seeing them play out in real time. The financial projections for Clark's Nike deal are probably astronomical because the combination of her massive fan base, Nike's marketing power, and the untapped potential of women's basketball merchandise creates a perfect storm for commercial success. When you consider that her college jerseys were among the best-selling women's basketball merchandise of all time, translating that popularity to professional Nike products seems like a guaranteed win for everyone involved. The legacy implications of this September 25th announcement will likely be discussed for decades because it represents a turning point in how major brands view women's sports marketing. Future historians will probably mark this as the moment when women's basketball endorsements transition from novelty items to serious business investments. The ripple effects will benefit players, fans, and the entire women's sports ecosystem for years to come. The pressure on Caitlin Clark to perform when she returns from injury is going to be immense because Nike just invested heavily in her ability to drive sales and cultural relevance. Every game will be scrutinized not just for basketball performance, but for how it affects brand perception and merchandise sales. That's the price of being the face of a major endorsement deal, but given Clark's track record of thriving under pressure, it seems like a challenge she'll embrace rather than shy away from. The international expansion possibilities for the WNBA become much more realistic when you have a global brand like Nike actively promoting one of your star players. European and Asian markets that have shown minimal interest in women's basketball might suddenly become viable because Nike's distribution networks and marketing reach can introduce the sport to audiences who never had access before. That's the kind of organic growth that creates sustainable, long-term success rather than temporary publicity bumps.